Alrighty, welcome back everybody. We are watching a round of 16 between Team 2 and Team 4. Of course, if you're curious why the teams have no names yet, the names are going to be assigned at round of 8. So after this match, when the next round starts, the teams will start to have names for them. So right off the bat here, we can see that Hunbots, Athena, Thor, and Isis are banned out. But of course, I'm joined today by Squiddish. How you doing, man?
I'm pretty good, driver. Ready to get some battles started here.
It looks like we might have some battle being started soon. So right off the bat, we see Odin being picked up, Fenrir, and then Sobek. These are very strong first picks. But I don't know which team looks like. The left side is going to be Team 4. The right side is going to be Team 2. So Team 4 decides they want to pick up Loki right off the bat. So they will be having Loki joining up here in their ranks. Apollo as well. And then Poseidon and Neith. So it looks like Team 2 is coming out to play today.
Yeah, they're going with a lot of really standard picks so far. Anubis is going to make life interesting. I saw him pop up on JSpec's pick, but I guess I decided to leave him until late pick because realistically, there's like no danger of Anubis getting pulled away from you. And Hades on the other team. So we've got a couple of gods that don't see competitive play terribly often here. So it's going to be interesting to see how they do.
Locked in. So Hades, yeah, Hades is kind of like one of those characters who comes out every now and then. Now he is a good counter to channel characters. Obviously, you can interrupt the channel of like Guan Yu or Ares with their Searing Flames or with the Tower of Salt, but it doesn't really they really have anything to be interrupted over there on Team 4. We're going to see Anubis here probably going to the middle lane. Loki's most likely going to be their jungler. Apollo and then Amir laning in the side lane, usually the long lane, and then have Odin in the short lane to solo that up for him. Odin, probably one of the best solos in the game currently, especially now that you lose gold when you can't push things back. And Odin with Hand of the Gods can do that quite effectively.
And Sobek as well. So I mean, I'm sure we're going to be seeing the pretty. It's not exactly the rarest thing in the world to see Odin solo versus Sobek solo, and that pretty much happens almost every single game there is. I'm just actually more interested. I really want to see what Anubis is going to do because I personally like Anubis. I'm a big fan of Anubis. He just doesn't see competitive play terribly often because he has to root himself to do anything, which is obviously a massive downside. But he's gotten a couple buffs recently that still hasn't made him get picked up very often. But now we're going to see if someone can really pull some work there. And I don't know. I just want to see Anubis kill some people. I'm an Anubis fan.
Anubis is really, yeah, I mean, he's really fun to watch. He's really fun to play. I know you really enjoy his optional mummify, but he is, I mean, with the introduction of the fact that he can't be pushed back during his Plague of Locust, his Locust Swarm, and the fact that he has a good amount of life, so he actually heals up quite effectively in the laning phase. It's just one of those things where you really want to pay attention to him early on, because he can fall off easily if he's not, keeping up his momentum.
It is very easy to shut him down as well because of the fact he's sat in place. And like you were saying, Hades has got a really hard counter to the channeled abilities. So, I mean, the only one they have is Anubis. So I'm expecting to see him get shut down pretty hard because I'm pretty sure everyone in this lobby is fully aware of how terrifying Anubis can get if he gets ahead and gets to the point where he can just melt people with his ultimate before they can even react. And I mean that's where Mummify optional really comes into play when it just does not matter because he does so much damage.
Yeah, especially, I mean, even his one can do a lot of damage to a big area of enemies, especially if you funnel them into a tight area or corridor. We've seen Anubis just rail through an entire team and burn them down really easily. So it's going to come down to the fact that, he does a lot of damage, but doesn't really bring enough to the table that has like more mobility or CC. I mean, he has just the Mummify, which if you miss that, that's pretty much your only chance to help your team out, besides just damage the slow, of course. So he's really just raw damage output, and that's why he's one of those characters that he's exciting to play, because if you're not keeping up in momentum, you're falling behind in levels, something like that, you're not really bringing enough to your team to be able to contribute to the overall victory that your team wants to achieve.
It does make life very difficult, and especially because he's going up against a Sobek. I mean, were he on the other team, I wouldn't say it would be as bad, but with Sobek's ability to pull him completely out of position, and all Anubis has to save himself, really. I mean, he's got the slow, but he's just got the Mummify on one person. If he gets a Sobek fling, that's probably going to be a dead Anubis right there, unless everybody can jump in to save him. I mean, it's going to kind of... He's very easy. He's very easy to pull out and focus because he just cannot get away with stuff when stuff happens.
Yeah, he's not exactly the most nimble of characters. He kind of just like, oh, well, I'm dead. So we're hopping into the match
Yeah,
here,
not
guys.
at all.
The left team is going to be Team 4, of course. The right team is going to be Team 2, of course. As a reminder, if you're wondering why they don't have names yet, we're doing a best of 32 teams for today's Code Green tournament. So they all going to have numbers up until the point where you get to 8 teams, and then we're going to assign names to them, of course, monster names as we do, and we're going to be rotating that around every week. But on the top, you can see Team 4 up against Team 2 here. This is a round of 16, and we're already heading out into the games here.
Gotta make sure we get synced real quick.
Yeah, I'm on bottom clock 33, 34, 35, 36.
I'm at 39.
Did you hit the sync button? The left side, the far left side, that little circle.
Ah, hold on, that's fancy.
It should be working now.
There we
Sometimes
go.
it works, sometimes it doesn't. I think they fixed it in the last patch.
I'm on 45, 46,
Like
47.
50, 51, 52, 53. I'm going to pause it.
A little bit ahead of me, it looks like.
55 on the bottom clock. 55 on the bottom clock. I'm paused.
Pause the 55.
Go in 3, 2, 1, go. 55, 56, 57, 58.
Yep, we're good.
All right, let's go and announce the teams here. So blue team is going to be Team 4 at the very peak of the interest here. Is going to be Mr. Makey heading out, and Odin looks like he uses passive to try and scope some people out here. Behind him is going to be Champ Sandwich on Amir, Ninja's X Shadow on Anubis, and of course J Spec ZZ on Loki, as well as Offin on the Apollo. On the opposite side, we see Team 2. Paradox 6 on Sobek, Land Party on Fenrir, Drink the Haterade on Poseidon, Wolfie CA on Hades, and That Insane Dude on Neath.
It looks like Team 2 might be looking for an invade over there on the side, but all of Team 4 is now bunched up together, and I'm kind of curious to see what exactly their plan is here, because they are all on the right, and they are just all standing out in full view, wanting something to happen. So looks like they're gonna be trying to take this medium gold cap, since that's gonna be the point of contention. Odin's gonna drop it down with his hand of God, since that is worth so much more gold since the patch where they added that in, and Team 2 decided to take it on the other side. This is something that is pretty standard now. Start there rather than the buffs, just because seriously, so much gold XP. Now there's 2 big furies. There's basically 2 camps worth of damage to be had.
Well, the 2 big furies on top of the fact that you're taking away from the enemy team, and then you can fall back and grab your very own. With both those gone there and then heading back, you're guaranteed to get more gold experience, and you can look at the total gold. Looks like Team 2 is already up, but they have been clearing out the jungle camps more effectively. Looks like the blue is already gone. Actually, just the damage in the blue, so they should be tied up here. Looks like Team 2 is actually pulling ahead a little bit in the gold numbers here. So Anubis did start out with damage, but takes about half his HP in harassment from the enemy Poseidon, who does not have the damage buff. He's going to heal that back up, of course, with a healing potion. There's a Tile Surge to clear that wave out. In the left lane, we're going to have Amir and Apollo up against Sobek and Neath. So it looks like Hades is going to be the solo, who happens to jump right on top of Odin, is actually pushing the Odin back towards his tower.
Hades is actually an interesting choice for a solo. It's not what I was predicting was going to happen, but it's not a bad choice by any means, because Hades' harassment and poke is incredibly good because of his ability to just leap into a minion wave and walk away fully healed up because of his 3. As you can see, he's already getting Odin pushed back to his tower, and Odin is already falling really low. The interesting part is going to see, because Odin obviously has got a ton of HP 5 from his 3, which of those 2 is going to win out in the end. Odin's ridiculous ability to just regen and ignore poke damage, or Hades' ability to poke constantly.
Looks like he's going to head back here and pick up the super blue, as Squidish likes to call it. It's now previously used to be blue, now it's blue and CDR combined, with lesser effects of both. Of course, there's more of a combined effect. Odin does still have his own, which should be falling off in about 45 to 50 seconds here. Anubis might be getting... no, it looks like Fenrir's going to go ahead and clear out this side camp in the middle lane. Anubis actually spotted out a little bit and backs off just to be safe. Doesn't want to get caught here. He realizes the threat of the Fenrir, especially with the fact that Brutalize just does so much damage, and with a fully stacked passive on his 1 Unchained, he'll be able to get a good AoE stun for Poseidon to react to it. And before they hit level 5, want to be careful before he gets caught out here. So it looks like Anubis is kind of staring at the jungle, being very aware and focused, wants to make sure that they don't really get any early ganks early on him.
Out of all the people Fenrir can eat very easily with his Brutalize, I mean, at least Anubis has got something he can do about that, because he can whip around and mummify him if he reacts quickly enough. But like you said, if he jumps in with a full rune stun, there's going to be very little Anubis can do before Poseidon has something to say about him. With the 2 of them together, that's going to be enough knocking around in CC. He can't stop them both. He's only got 1 mummify. So that's definitely a situation he's not going to want to get stuck in. And like you said, especially once Fenrir gets to pick up his ultimate, he's just going to be able to carry him off into the tower, as you see Fenrir do all the time. and Anubis has really got absolutely nothing he's going to be able to say about that. He's picked up the Aegis, though, so worst case scenario, if he can get it before it happens, he should be okay once, but still not a situation he's going to want to be in.
Absolutely. One of the biggest things, too, is you don't even have to bring him into the tower to do good damage to him, especially if you have a mid that can capitalize on it, like a Poseidon, an Ao Kuang, or a Hebo, who you can just pick them up with the ultimate, the Ragnarok, hold them in place, and put the center of the Poseidon ultimate right where they're standing, and there's absolutely nothing they can do about it without beads, of course. So it's very easy for the middle to combo with the Fenrir ganks, and it's one of the many reasons why Fenrir is, and will be, one of the top-tier junglers in this game until things get changed, of course. Fenrir kind of lurk around the middle lane. Is Fenrir level 5? He is level 5, has Ragnarok available to him. Anubis does not have beads, has Aegis Amulet though, so possibly could avoid it. Here comes a gank on the backside here, jumping in. There's the Unchained Stun, and the Fenrir picking up the ultimate, holding it, standing still. Poseidon isn't reacting fast, so there's a Whirlpool. It looks like doesn't have his ultimate available. He does, he hasn't used it yet. There's the Anubis ultimate doing so much damage. Loki comes in, jumps on top of Poseidon. Poseidon ultimate pops up, and Loki gets killed from about 80% HP down to 0 as Poseidon reacts and holds onto the ultimate. So I guess it was a good thing that he held onto it. Apollo isn't done yet, dunking the backside on the tower as well, trying to push back the Poseidon. The Whirlpool comes out, he dashes out of it and survives. And it looks like everyone wants to get some battle.
Yeah, it looks like everyone's just going to go ahead and pile up in the middle lane here. What initially looked like what might have been a slow reaction and a bad decision by Poseidon to not capitalize on the Ragnarok turned out helping him. I guess it was actually a good call because realistically, and Hades is going on the Odin here on the right lane. I'll talk about that in a second. He's very low. Hades is cut out behind Odin's tower now, and Odin's just kind of dancing around seeing if he can make something happen with this. Odin's health is really, really low, but Anubis is coming around to capitalize, gets the Mummify off on the Hades. Hades is trying to jump away now. I don't know if they're going to have anything to really chase him down with. They tried to punish it, but just not enough damage to tear down someone as tanky. And now Loki's coming around for his turn, too. They're determined to not let Hades walk away with this, and Loki's going to be able to pick up the Hades kill before he can get back to safety.
Smart play there. Looks like they kind of grouped up. Hades just jumped on the tower trying to take out the Odin. Did not have his ultimate available to him. Just wanted to take out the Odin. Odin just so tanky, ate all of it and stood on the tower. Forced him back into the jungle. Anubis kind of gave up, but Loki had something to say about that. Jumped in and finished off the Hades as you all saw on screen. So 2-1 now here at the 5.5 minute mark. Looks like Team 2 is up just under 1,000 gold, about 800 gold difference between these two teams right now starting out. It looks like Sobek's heading back over to the right lane. I don't know if he's covering for Hades or what. It looks like Hades heading over here as well. Left lane, just Neath by herself and Fenrir jungling nearby. So it looks like they have a lot of gank opportunities around. Loki is doing more of a farm fest, but he's falling behind. He's level 5 at this current point in time. That kill helped him out a lot. But if you look at the individual gold numbers, about 3,300 for the Loki, which actually he's keeping up with the middle lane. So it looks like his gold is good, but his experience is a little bit behind.
And that's kind of what happens a lot of the time with early game Loki jungling. I mean, it just seems like Loki cannot early on clear camps that fast, especially compared to Fenrir, who can jump in, brutalize a camp, and have it gone in an instant, the blink of an eye. And he's going to try and come around. He was looking at Anubis, but Anubis seems to have spotted him out before anything could happen because he did get the ward down there after what happened last time. Fenrir goes in to brutalize on Loki, but Loki vanishes to get away. Apollo kind of rotating around. Ymir's a bit behind him, but it doesn't look like anything's really going to happen here. Just kind of a little bit of a fight in the jungle, but nothing serious going on there. Everyone's kind of starting to drift back into their original lanes. But yeah, Loki is going to have to really work to try and keep up with someone who's got such heavy early game clear like Fenrir, who can tear through camps like it's absolutely nothing. And Fenrir's also doing a really good job of keeping the medium camps down every time they come up in the middle, which is a lot of bonus for him.
It really is, and he's also warding here, as you can see on the right side of the middle. He actually wants to see if they come over and take these camps, he can just, wherever he is, he can come join and help out. Looks like they have a ward here on the left side for, looks like Mr. Makey Odin put a ward down here. And there's another ward over here by the medium camp. It looks like the Poseidon put that down. Looks like a lot of warding coming out. We have the a triangle forming around the gold theory here. There's one down by the super blue, placed down by, looks like the Sobek, and then one up above that just went down towards the blue on the opposite side of the map. Right lane looks like Hades and Odin are just kind of going at it. Odin kind of getting the short end of the stick here. He is getting more farm and experience overall just because he's staying in the lane longer, but it looks like Hades is out harassing him, which is something we don't see too often.
Well, it's really difficult for him to trade with Hades because even his HP 5, I guess, is not going to be able to outdo just the solid healing Hades gets every time he jumps in and leeches health from the entire minion wave. Because Odin's definitely trying, but his jump and his Gungnir's Might doesn't have the clear quite yet that Hades does with his dive and his 3. So he's just, every time they engage, Odin's just getting a little bit lower, and Hades isn't really moving too much. Fenrir looks like he's just kind of diddling around the jungle, trying to make something happen. doesn't appear to be aware that there is a ward for both teams right next to him, so everybody knows where he is. There's a lot of vision in the jungle, especially on Team 4's side. And they're going to attempt to go in on Fenrir here. He's going to pop his Ragnarok to get away, picks up the Anubis who pieces out of it, drops the Mummify, and his ultimate. Fenrir is going to leap away, though. Odin is trying to circle around, but it looks like he is not going to be able to catch up with him. Just going to try and catch the Hades while he's out of position. And they are just going to walk away from this one, reset the fight with no one dead.
Very intelligent play there by Fenrir and Poseidon, picking up those beads as soon as they possibly can. They know they're up against a Anubis in the middle lane, and they don't really want to give away anything, especially right there. You can see Fenrir taking a lot of damage from the Death Gaze, but able to beads out of that and head out towards the middle lane without taking too much damage, about half HP there. So good presence of mind from both players, being able to pick up that beads, purification beads to get away from the Mummify, as well as a couple other special effects on the enemy team. Sobek and Fenrir rotating the left lane. Looks like Neith pushed back all the way to her tower. Neith actually hitting level 10 at this current point in time. She is over 4,000 gold at this point, which is beating out the Odin, the Apollo, the Emir, and just slightly over the Loki as well. So doing a very, very good job of farming. She's kind of just sitting over here and keeping her experience and gold up. Looks like Mike Corn back ink on this Sobek. The Frost Breath is not going to come out in time. He's just going to dash away. They don't really want to commit to it. Looks like they just want to try and flank and see if they can get something. Another thing to point out as well is the fact that Odin is being pushed back to his tower consistently, which means he's getting no gold.
And that is going to hurt them a lot, just the amount of gold that he is being denied by being stuck on his tower by Hades. Another thing, while we're talking about the farming situation here, Poseidon is pulling almost 1,000 gold ahead of the Anubis he's up against here. Poseidon has just kind of been able to sit in mid, pretty much uncontested, and do his deal. Anubis is going to the jungle here, does not know there's a Fenrir waiting, picks him up with a Ragnarok, who carries him right into Poseidon's crack, and they're able to run and tear him down. He pops the Aegis, but it is not going to be enough. It ate the Brutalize, but they were able to finish him off as soon as the Aegis ended there, and that is going to help Poseidon get even further ahead. And with that second gank, Anubis is going to fall even further behind, which is definitely not something he needs.
Loki coming to left lane. There comes the Assassinate on top of the Aim Strike. He's going to finish off Sobek the left lane after a freeze from Emir. So right after the kill in the middle of the lane, looks like Team 4 responds with their own kill on a support tank, though. So arguably not as valuable there trading a Sobek for an Anubis, especially the fact, as we mentioned earlier, Squidditch, is the fact that, Anubis needs momentum. If he falls behind, he doesn't really have, the raw potential as a character to carry himself through the game. He has the Mummifies, he's a little bit of damage and it's slow, but if he's not far ahead, his damage doesn't counteract the fact that his team fight isn't as strong. I mean, really, his whole team fight is that damage output. So if he falls too far behind, as we see him doing right now, he's level 11 at this current point, but as you mentioned, the Poseidon is just farming so well that he's going to become less of more of a detriment to his team if he doesn't keep his farm up.
And they really need to shut down this Poseidon right now, because he is getting far and away. He is now 3 levels above the next person in the lobby with a ridiculous amount of gold, over a 1k lead on Anubis. They really need to find a way to stop him, because Poseidon as well is in a similar situation. He has so much damage if he's allowed to snowball that Poseidon will be able to 100-0 people with one of his ability combos easily by himself, especially up against Anubis, a relatively squishy character. So, I mean, Anubis you see now getting passed up by Loki, the jungler, in gold. He's just not having a good day with those Fenrir ganks. They're doing a fantastic job of keeping him shut down. I really want to see Team 4, if they want to keep this going, to try and come around and pull some ganks on Poseidon. It looks like Fenrir and Poseidon are flanking around to the left here, but Anubis saw Poseidon leave lane and kind of backed up, and he is not going to go up and expose himself. He knows Fenrir is there. He does not want anything to happen after the last couple experiences he has had with that situation.
Being very aware. One thing to point out as well is Loki's still level 9 at this current point. His farm is good. He's tied with Anubis in the middle lane, but does not have a whole lot of experience. So his abilities are going to be less leveled, and overall he's going to be a little bit lagged behind in that department. Also you get passive stacking. Charge spray actually on Apollo in the left lane, throwing right into the Neith. Neith misses the Spirit Arrow. Looks like they're going to try and freeze it, but Emir's actually quite low. The wall comes out to try to save Apollo, and they're just going to go ahead and disengage her. I think they actually had an opportunity to kill the Emir if they committed hard enough. Poseidon rotates over. Looks like he wants a piece of this action, but looks like they're just back to the tower, so he's going to go ahead and return to the middle lane through this ward that has placed down. Anubis is pushing the middle lane. Fenrir's rotating over. They might have a chance to gank it, and Anubis heads right into the jungle. I don't know if he's trying to farm here or he's heading home. Looks like he might be trying to farm. Might be heading over to left lane as well, but looks like he doesn't want any piece of the fact that Fenrir is just rotating constantly, trying to get some ganks in the middle lane.
Yeah, he saw Poseidon and Fenrir coming, and he immediately just, nope, I'm going to the jungle. I want nothing to do with this. Sobek kind of just prowling around in Team 4's jungle, looking to see if there's any camps available he can steal, and there's nothing there to be had by him. And we can see that Team 2 is at about a 2,000 gold advantage now, which is half of that is from the Poseidon. And the rest of it is from, I mean, Odin getting pushed back in his lane is a big problem for these guys because he's losing a lot of gold. And on the left lane, Apollo and Ymir are spending a pretty decent amount of time pushed back too, or in their tower as well. Looks like Loki sees the Fenrir is taking this middle camp here and decides not even to engage. He doesn't want to mess with the Fenrir with the Poseidon so nearby and no one who was to support him. Charge break comes out from Sobek. There was Ymir back, but there's nobody really there to contribute any damage except Fenrir coming around now, and he finally rotates in. Loki is in, drops a lot of damage onto Sobek. He's very low. Are they going to be able to finish him off there? Mummify from Anubis means that Sobek is going to be doomed. Ymir is chasing down the Fenrir, but misses the wall. So they are going to get away. Just going to pick up a kill on that Sobek there, which is going to help him make up some of the difference. But they might lose mid tower for it.
That was a good engagement there. Looks like Sobek kind of just went too far ahead, and without proper communication, it seems like his team wasn't on the same mindset that he was in. He wanted to get some kills, and they didn't really contribute as much. So Sobek took a lot of damage there from the Loki. Fenrir rotated around trying to get the Loki. Loki actually used beads and then Aegis afterwards to avoid being picked up by the Fenrir ultimate. Poseidon was not in position either, so that was going to be a free Sobek kill for Team 4 here. Now 3-3, Loki jumps on top of the Fenrir. Fenrir just easily jumps away. There's the Mummify on top of the ultimate assassinate, but the beads gets popped right afterwards, and the Brutalize comes out, and the Death Gaze is not going to be in range, and Fenrir will survive for the time being as 4 players for Team 4 group up in the jungle trying to get a kill here.
And they are going to lose their mid tower for that one there as Hades rotates over to help push it down. These minions are probably going to be enough to finish that off. That was a big gank attempt on Fenrir, but that is yet another reason why Fenrir is such a high-tier jungler. It's not just his damage. He has so much mobility and just an ability to get away from things. He got jumped on with Loki's Assassinate and the Mummify and was able to just brutalize away into the sunset before he could get burned down by Death Gaze. So, I mean, he was in no real danger there. Had he not have beads, the story could have been very different, but he did, so he was able to just kind of hop away. And Fenrir pretty much always has some sort of hop or his ultimate or something he can use to get away. I mean, he can literally double jump and dash off with Ragnarok. It is very hard to initialize and get a good gank on him if he is paying attention and has anything like beads available to get him out of CC for a second to start the process.
Yeah, Fenrir, a very mobile character, as you mentioned there. Two leaps as well as a 50% increase in movement speed and CC immunity while doing so. So he's a very mobile character, very hard to shut down when he wants to get away. He usually will, especially with those beads. Now, something to mention on top of that is the fact that the beads is level 1, so there's going to be a 4-minute cooldown on those. He's used it twice now to great effect. Actually got him out of a couple tight situations, so his beads are already paying off here. One thing to note right off the bat, we see one Heartseeker up on Apollo, a Heartseeker up on Fenrir, and then a Doom Orb coming out now for Poseidon. So a lot of damage to be stacked up. If you are not paying attention to the changes in Smite, the last patch allowed the difference to be Doom Orb and Heartseeker lose half their stacks on death, and not all of their stacks. You see Fenrir getting jumped in the lane here. There's Ragnar picking up the Anubis, bringing it right to the Poseidon. Poseidon's going to put down the Whirlpool. Here comes the Kraken as well. Each Ambit gets popped, but Loki does not survive. Fenrir jumps over the wall. Mummify comes out. There's the Death Gaze as well. Here comes Hades, going to jump right on top of the Anubis. Here comes the slam down from that, and the ultimate comes out afterwards. The beats gets popped. Is it going to be enough? The Whirlpool does get a slow off, and the Neath ultimate on top of the Tidal Surge is not going to be necessary as both Anubis and Loki die there. Again, they try to get the Fenrir. He gets away and turns it into a double kill.
They are really trying to pull that Fenrir down as they should be, because especially with that Heartseeker, I mean, even though he's not losing all of the stacks, he's at least losing some of them, which is going to make a bit of time after he respawns where he is less powerful than he was. Those abilities, like you said, are seeing a lot more play now, but even every time they try to go in on him, either nothing happens or they've been losing people, because they have not managed yet to pin down that Fenrir for a kill. And we see a little initiation over in the left lane here. Apollo just dashes away, though, before anyone can really make anything happen, so they're going to be all right there and kind of just reset the lane as they try and push off of their tower, because they are just slowly getting further and further behind with these failed gank attempts on Fenrir and all the successful gank attempts from Fenrir on the mid lane. Anubis hasn't managed to snowball like he really needs to be effective. And looks like the root's going to come out from Neath on Ymir. He's going to get thrown back by the Sobecker. Spirit Arrow is on cooldown. He's going to beads anyway. Avoided the slow from the backflip, allowing him to just walk away. He is pretty low, but he's also Ymir, and it's going to take a bit more than that to take him down.
Yeah, quite naturally tanky. It's a lot of passive stat gains, including HP and protection. So a very naturally tanky character. As you can see, he only really has at this point a Void Stone and the boots, which looks like he ended up going for boots of Celerity instead of the Midas boots there, or reinforced Greaves. So a little bit of different build we haven't seen too often. I actually haven't seen boots of Celerity picked up in quite some time. Fenrir actually going for the Jotun's Wrath, and the Doom Orb is now done on Poseidon, so he's going to be doing a lot of damage. He has that compulsory Gem of Isolation, which makes his Whirlpool literally inescapable, as we see Fenrir kind of grouping up in the middle lane, trying to jump into the Anubis again. There goes the dash. The Mummify gets absorbed by the Ragnarok. It looks like he's just going to go ahead and disengage and run away as Loki joins the fray, but of course they don't have a tower there to run back to.
Yeah, not a whole lot he could do there. When Loki showed up, it wasn't really worth Fenrir's time to try and do that 1v2 engage. Missing the jump was kind of big because that stun might have allowed them to... I mean, he could have individually torn down Anubis pretty quickly just because of how much damage Fenrir puts out, even though Anubis is a higher level. And it looks like everyone's kind of gravitating towards left lane now. Anubis and Fenrir both coming over. Loki's stealth looked like he was going to go in there, but decides to stab the Fenrir instead and then pull back. Wall comes out from Mimir, but Fenrir just jumps over it, and nobody is able to be caught out there. Looks like the ultimate's going to come out from Sobek as he tries to come forward. Brutalized from Fenrir as well. A lot of damage on the Ymir here, but he does avoid taking any damage from the Sobek ultimate. Charge Prey into a Neath ultimate is going to mean Ymir is definitely dead here. Mummify from the Anubis on the Neath, who was able to backflip away. Fenrir and Neath both so very, very low. A dead case from Anubis is going to be not quite enough to actually finish anybody. So Neath and Fenrir are both going to get away with probably about 5% and 10% health, respectively. Loki is not done yet, drops his decoy, and tries to go in as Fenrir manages to get home, and Neath backflips away.
So now 6-3, the 19.5 minute mark, you saw that engagement there. 5,000 gold difference between these two teams. Team 2 taking a very decisive lead as we saw them there. I mean, Ymir, a very tanky character, but positioning does supersede natural tankiness. As we saw, Ymir was a little bit caught out, took a lot of abilities, and ended up falling there quite easily as they just used so many damaging abilities and CC abilities as well. Sobek leading it off with his ultimate. Right lane we see Odin and Hades going at it again. Level 16 is the Odin, level 17 is the Hades. So Hades, even though the fact that Hades is contributing to his team a lot more than the Odin is for his, but even on top of that, we see 1,000 gold difference between these two players here. And surprisingly enough, we haven't seen any objective attempts up until this point as we cross over into 20-minute mark.
And a big factor of Hades' lead here as well, as he's got almost 1,000 gold over on the Odin, is Hades did show up for one little bit of murder. So he did pick up an assist there. He died, but he got a lot of gold from that assist he helped out one with his ultimate. And Odin hasn't participated in anything so far. He's kind of hung out in left lane, tried to farm, tried to keep caught up. And now Loki is going to come over and see if they can make something happen with these. Hades don't make a difference. Loki goes in, misses as Hades jumps away right as he tries to initiate. So all Loki's really going to do is sponge a little gold out of Odin's lane.
Yeah, Hades is pretty tanky at this point. Now, he has primarily magical protection, but does have a lot of natural HP there, so it can be quite hard to take down. A lot of consumables on top of that. We see 2 teleports on the enemy team. Both Neath and Sobek have teleports, so you know, they can sit in their lane and farm. If their teammates need help, they can head back a little bit and teleport to that tower. Of course, the teleports now only teleport to towers and are half the gold. They're 125 now. Previously, they were 250. But you look at the enemy team, there's 1 teleport up for Odin as well, as he kind of sits in his lane, and if he needs help, they will be able to do so. Here comes initiation on top of the Neath, who backflips away, doesn't take a whole lot of damage from the Loki. Half HP Spirit Arrow lands on top of the mirror. There is the Mummify, and Death Gaze as well will melt Neath into the ground. Sobek takes about half his HP in damage and heads on back toward the tower. 4 players are here for Team 4. Fenrir rotates over, tries to get something, but was a little bit too late there. Looks like a free kill for Team 4.
Yeah, that is that Anubis damage. Even though he has been having some issues getting behind, he's still far, far behind Poseidon. It does not matter that much because he's just dumped so much damage. We can get a good effective Death Gaze. Fenrir was coming over, saw the Death Gaze came out, and just said nope and walked away. And over just in the right lane, again, we can see Odin half health, push back into his tower, losing a bunch of gold to the tower hits. I mean, this has just been the story of right lane so far. He is just not able to outpush or outpoke this Hades at all. With these new changes to how the tower robs 100% of gold now, Hades might actually be a relatively good solo laner just because of how much push and sustain he has. He's been able to just sit here and do his thing, head over whenever there's a kill, come back and just keep doing his thing. I mean, every time that happens, he goes in with death from below in his 3, Odin loses another chunk of health and has to fall back and lose some more gold to the tower.
Yeah, the heal and the stack up of the minions is really helping him out a lot, and the tower looks like it's taking a lot of damage, might go down. Anubis comes to the backside, but do they have enough damage to take down the Hades is the question. The Mummified misses, there goes the Grasping Hands, and Locust Swarm. Fenrir jumps in the Hades ultimate in response, jumping right top of Odin. Odin will fall here to Fenrir's damage, and that was an excellent turnaround there. I don't think they really realized not only how much damage they can put out, but how tanky Hades was. I think even if they land the Mummify, it would take a lot of damage to take him down, and that was a bit of a hasty engagement there. Anubis is still standing here, looks like he gets jumped on as the tower goes down. Each thing gets popped on the Brutalize. There goes the Unchained, doing a lot of damage. The Slow comes out though, but Loki jumps on. Death Gaze comes out and finishes off the Fenrir. Now they're going after the Hades. Hades jumps on 1/4 HP. Loki is in pursuit, but doesn't have a whole lot of HP himself. Here comes the output. There's the Locust Swarm, and one hit from the Loki will finish off Hades. An excellent turnaround after they got turned around on. It looks like both teams are coming out to play today.
That Anubis damage. We also see a little bit of a fight between Neith and Apollo up here behind Team 2's left lane tower. Poseidon's rotating around as well to see if he can do anything with this Apollo. Drops the Tide Pool and the Tidal Surge, doing a lot of damage to Apollo, and now Neith is coming around. If they're able to root him or get him locked down, they may be able to get the kill, but he still has a tower to run back to, and they're not going to have quite enough damage to finish him off there. And now Ymir is coming back around to assist, misses the freeze, but Apollo's already gotten to safety. Ymir doesn't seem to have gotten the message, though, as he tries to wall off and initiate on Poseidon by himself before falling back, realizing he does not have support with Apollo there, so he's just going to hold this lane. And now it looks like Poseidon's just going to kind of hang out on the left for a little bit. This is the last Tier 1 tower that Team 4 has standing, and it looks like they're going to put a lot of effort into trying to push that down if possible. And Odin teleports in, actually, to help him hold the line after that battle that went down in his lane. He wants some more over here.
I'm surprised Poseidon didn't pop his ultimate there. He had his ultimate available to him the entire time as Apollo was running away. Apollo had no mana left, nor did Apollo have his ultimate, so that was an easy kill for Poseidon. Decided he did not want to release the Kraken while he was running, let Apollo get back to the tower, and even the Ymir, who was dropping quite low, did not pop it there. So a very conservative play coming out from Poseidon. Decides he wants to hold on to his ultimate in case he needs it later, or even if an engagement starts up, but definitely had an opportunity to finish off that Apollo if he popped his ultimate during the time that Apollo was running towards his tower. Now again, we're crossing over towards the 25-minute mark, and no objectives have been attempted up until this point. Looks like both teams are content to clear out the jungle, hold down their lanes. Looks like middle tower and right tower are down for Team 4. Team 2 still hold on to all their towers. A little bit of damage on each of them, but up until this point, they have had a good, strong lead throughout the entire game.
It's actually pretty surprising, with the exception of a Team 4 ward on Fire Giant. There's really, with how many wards are going on in the jungle, nobody's really warding the objectives. Gold Fury does not have vision. Oh, now, of course, as I say that, Ymir decides to dump a ward on the Gold Fury just to make sure that I'm wrong about everything I try to say. And then he is going to be caught out in the jungle here while Fenrir and Poseidon try to close on him, but he just walks away because nobody was really there to stop or capitalize on him. They drop the Sentry ward, comes out from Team 2 to counter ward, and just as we were talking about, it looks like we might have a little bit of a skirmish going down with the Gold Fury. Sobek tries to charge him but misses. Ymir responds by missing his freeze. You know, just kind of a show of strength. Mine is bigger than yours, where tanks go away, and so they do. And everyone is kind of collapsing around Gold Fury, and now we're just going to wait for the first big team fight of this game to happen.
So they're kind of grouping up here. Neither of them really want to commit to this too hard. Fenrir kind of hanging out, looking out to see if he can catch anybody here. Here comes Hades coming out from the middle lane, left lane. We see Sobek and Neith. Sobek and Neith are grouping up the left lane. Looks like Odin's rotating over as well. They're just going to go ahead and back off here. They do have ward vision. They have good control of the Gold Fury area. There's a ward up towards the mid side of this Fury camp for Team 4, so they will have vision as they rotate around. And Mir's kind of hanging out here, misses the silence there coming out from Hades. Going to back up towards Loki and Anubis. Again, they have good control of the jungle, and they don't really want to contest it here from Team 4. They have a bit of an experience deficit. They have a bit of a gold deficit. They don't want to force any engagements unless it's on their terms.
Exactly. And now that Team 2, well, not now that, but since they've had a pretty big lead that's just been growing bigger and bigger, and now they have the vision advantage on Gold Fury, they are not going to want to let Team 4 have this, since it is something that can help them turn the tide of the fight. So it's not so much, I mean, they might go for it here in the near future, but I would almost say it looks to me like they're more interested in making sure that Team 4 doesn't get it than getting it themselves. And now their vision's expired on the Gold Fury. This would be a good time for Team 4 to go in, as they still do have 4 members of the team just piled in and around Gold Fury, but 3 of them are standing on a ward from Team 2 in the left lane. So Team 2 does know they're all here, and looks like everyone's starting to collapse over again, and I'm just really waiting for something to happen, because this first team fight could be really huge in either direction. There's a big deficit, but it's definitely something that a team fight win in a Gold Fury would be more than enough to make up.
Well, we've seen this time and time again in Smite, where the gold deficit isn't always the game. I mean, a lot of since Smite is such a high skill cap game, if you play everything properly, you can win team fights without having to give up too much, nor having a good lead on top of that. I mean, we've seen previous Smite tournaments where teams have been down, 10,000+ gold and still win the game just by proper team play, team fights, and objective securing, and a Minotaur slaying as well. So we may have Team 4 coming back into this. I mean, the gap is closing. It was previously 5,000. It's now 4,000 gold, so they dropped out 1K off of that. Especially if they get a gold Fury, they will be close enough to be tied up here, as Squiddish did just mention. So it looks like the Vision is still in control of Team 2. They're adamantly pushing wards into the jungle, make sure they have good control of that. They do have the Odin passive for Team 4, which doubles the minimap vision, so Odin can see over walls quite easily if he's there. But it's going to come down to this next engagement. Looks like they actually might be starting the gold Fury, and they are. So 3 players for Team 2 are starting the gold Fury as Team 4 heads on over and hopefully gets there in time for their sake.
And Anubis is here in time to realize what is happening. He drops his Death Gaze, but it's not enough to steal, and it might just be enough to get himself killed as well as the gold Fury loss. Brutalize comes out from Fenrir, but a quick Mummify stops him from dying to it. And then the ultimate comes out from Poseidon and Hades, which kills both of him and the Loki who tried to show up and help him. Odin has held them all now with his ultimate, but he is going to have to walk away from this engagement. Ymir is here as well, gets thrown back by Sobek, and without any damage here to really help him out, Ymir and Odin are just looking for ways to get away from this fight, because Loki and Anubis were absolutely destroyed by the Hades-Poseidon ult combo, which just does so much damage. That Kraken does a phenomenal amount of damage, and Anubis was already very low. Apollo is going to ult over, though, dropping on top of Sobek and Hades before immediately deciding that was a bad idea and just dashing away, because they do not have the numbers to win this engagement in the middle lane right now.
They certainly don't, nor do they have the the pound for pound golden experience either. So right off the bat, we see them kind of try to get something out there. Anubis was really close. Unfortunately, when you have an ability that ticks rather than as a big burst like the Anubis ultimate, you have less of a chance of stealing it. Of course, if you throw a Raw Beam, an Alquang ultimate, or a Hercules Rock, something along those lines where it's burst damage, you have more of a chance to steal it away there. But with Anubis ticking with his ultimate, it's less likely to get the last hit. As you saw him kind of run in, throw out the Death Gaze, wasn't able to get the Gold Fury, and lost his life in the process. Odin was a little bit late there in the rotation, and it just seems like it's more of a lack of communication. Now, I got to mention, this is a single-person sign-up tournament, so each of these players has signed up by themselves, not for a team. So this lack of communication is something to be expected. It's even surprising that they operate at the level they do. I mean, these players are just so incredibly talented and receptive as we, they kind of just get thrown together into one group with people they've never met before, possibly, and have to fight it out here. So, I mean, it's incredible to see them compete, but again, sometimes you have situations where Anubis goes in by himself and doesn't really have the team support that he would have wanted.
And this is really what makes the Tiermonster tournament so interesting, is that single sign-up. And we've seen several times engagement coming out from both teams here where a tank goes in without any carry support or any damage support there. And they're going to try to go in on Poseidon here. Ultimate comes out from Odin and Poseidon in response, but he is going to get torn down. Ymir and Loki both very low. That Kraken was almost enough to actually take Loki down, but just the raw damage they were dumping on Poseidon's face was too much to handle. Ultimate comes out from Neath. Looks like it hits Odin on accident. He was able to jump in the way there to save Loki from getting finished off by that global, and they're going to walk away with their free kill, making up a bit of that gold difference.
Fender in the middle lane with Hades going to push out this wave, make sure the tower doesn't take any damage as they push it up. Checking in on the item situation yet again, we see Obsidian Shard and then the focused Void Stone coming out from Poseidon. Looks like he's going to share that aura, neither does the Hades here. Fender is going to pick up a Void Blade, standard Void Blade to help out his team. Is going to benefit Neath specifically, and then going to get that Bulwark of Hope starting up next. More of a tanky build coming out from him. Needs to get a little more survivability, so he can kind of jump in there, brutalize, and be more in their face without having to worry about his own HP, as they do have a lot of damage output. I mean, you have the Anubis, you have the Apollo, you have the Loki, a lot of burst damage and sustained damage characters that can kill other enemy gods very, very easily. Neath backflips away as she sees a gank coming, and I would say a big portion of the success for Team 2 is going to be pointed directly at the fact that they're just aggressively warding everything. They have good vision of all the rotations that Team 4 is doing.
Team 4 has tried a lot of ganks, and even from the very, very earliest of the early game, they have been getting shut down their ganks just because of all that vision, which, like you said, they're doing a fantastic job of keeping these wards up. And just now, Team 4 is trying to come back. You can see Team 4 has actually got a pretty decent amount of vision spread around the jungle now. They realize how much of a difference that's making, but they're getting counter-warded down pretty quickly because Team 2 has got the jungle totally under their control. When they notice a ward go missing, they're very quick to respond to it. And I just want to say that the choice for Hades on that focused Void Stone is a little interesting. I mean, I understand Poseidon doing it, obviously, but as a tank, I would think Hades would want to go more for the team support Void Stone. But I guess just the raw damage from his ultimate, I mean, is ridiculously high, and it's going to help him since he's spending most of his time over in right lane anyway, just dueling with Odin. I mean, I can kind of see why he picked it up, but I'm still slightly confused on that one.
Yeah, exactly. It's a strange pickup there, but you definitely want to help out your team with those auras. And something that's a little bit newer, obviously, you want to have that. You can see the difference on Team 4. The Anubis has the Focus Void Stone, whereas Amir, who's more of a tank, has the regular Void Stone, although the only other person who would benefit from it would be the Anubis. So I guess it would be a double penetration there for the Anubis, as Loki kind of heads into the jungle to clear out these Furies, get a little bit gored up. And now you look at the levels, Amir's level 17, Loki's level 17. So, I mean, you see Loki falling behind in the experience still, but the gold he's keeping up. He's actually the second most farm character on his team versus being, the lowest level on his team at the same time. So his experience is far behind, but his gold is being kept up, which is really all Loki needs, because you're guaranteed to get those levels as the game goes on.
Which, I mean, the gold situation is really just a story of jungling. And Bumba's Mask still gives you far more of a gold advantage than it does experience, and especially for someone that starts with such a slow jungle like Loki, it's rather difficult. I mean, this is the situation he's going to end up in a lot if he doesn't get a lot of successful ganks, which, because of the vision and Team 2 shutting down, I mean, it all kind of ties together. A lot of vision, a lot of failed Loki ganks, a lot of times people get away or Loki gets counter ganked and they can get shut down. It means he's behind an experience and he's managing to keep him in gold. Because you can see Fenrir, who's had a bit more success, he's not, I mean, he's got way more experience from a little bit more just farming away, but he's not a ton further ahead in gold. I mean, yeah, 1,500, I guess that's a pretty substantial amount of gold. But you would think with the experience difference, whereas he was shortly ago 3 levels ahead, it would be a lot bigger than that. And over in the right lane, we can see Odin trying to fight Hades and Sobek a little bit, but I'm not really sure. Odin's quite a tanky man. I don't think they're going to be able to tear him down. He's just kind of being a distraction right now.
I'm gonna go ahead and jump over the wall as Loki does it, but Hades responds instantaneously, now going after Loki as he sees a primer piece of meat. As Loki kind of backs off there, Hades heads back towards the tower, heads home. Anubis is going to steal away the damage, but Fenrir is at the middle tower, so he's nearby, but not able to pick it up. He actually just walks away from it. No, Anubis will take it. They kind of fought over it a little bit there. It didn't even want it in the first place. Neith is over here in the left-hand lane. No tower available. Looks like Anubis was a little bit late. There goes the Mesmerize. Now she's going to backflip away, but the Ragnarok comes out in time. Anubis pops his beat. Does he turn around is the question. The Mummify comes out, but misses. There is the Locust Swarm and the Grasping Hands. Death Gaze will finish off Neith as she tries to back off. All cooldowns used by Anubis, but you can see the burst damage that is Anubis and how effective it can be if used properly.
And Anubis just dumped literally everything on that Neith. He was not letting her get away with that one. That was an absolutely perfect beads there that saved him from the Ragnarok, and then he was able to avoid the Brutalize as well. Ymir following Fenrir back to the lane, trying to cut him off with the wall, but Fenrir's able to get away before he can get frozen. He's going to run into Loki in the jungle here, and there's going to be a little bit of engagement as he jumps in with Brutalize. Loki ults away out of the camp just to avoid death because of the massive amount of damage that came out from Fenrir's 3 there, tearing Loki down to about a quarter of his health. Fenrir just does so much damage in those one-on-one situations with his Brutalize. Loki just had to leave. He had to get out of that.
Yeah, can't really absorb that kind of burst. But looks like Team 4 is going to start up the Gold Fury, and Team 2 is in no position to defend it here. All the towers have been taken out, so it looks like Team 4 is going to take a lead after this Gold Fury finishes. But Gold Fury gets 1,500 gold. Actually might be tied right after this finish, and dead even is this match. The gold numbers are right on par. A 1 kill advantage for Team 2. A little bit of experience for them as the Ymir and Loki are still struggling to hit level 20. But overall, this is a tied match in gold numbers, especially at the towers that have been taken. Now, one thing to note right off the bat is towers are pretty much guaranteed gold. Once you kill them, you'll get a golden experience for your team, and you can look at the tower difference here. Team 4 is tied with Team 2 when they are 2 towers up. 2 towers are still standing for Team 4 that have yet to been taken to tie that up. So if Team 2 gets those towers on par, they will be ahead in gold. So that is something to keep in mind. But for this point in time, it is tied up as Ymir kind of clears out the middle lane, and both teams are kind of grouping up, looking for an opportunity to get a team fight.
And Team 4 has done a pretty good job of catching up just because, like you said, those towers they've able to push down. They almost have another one in the right lane, and it looks like they're kind of gathering around middle to try and push this one around as well. I mean, the free Gold Fury and the couple free kills they've picked up, like that one Neith shortly ago, have helped them as well. They're doing a fantastic job of playing catch-up here. They're doing a pretty good job in team fights. They're just taking whatever they can get, which is really what they need to do. Because now you can even see them starting to pull a little bit ahead, just because how much farming they're doing. And they have Apollo split pushing in the right lane, who I'm sure he's going to try and see if he can take down that tower, as Odin gets thrown to the tower by Sobek and tail whip back. But seriously, it's Odin. He doesn't care at all. about the damage he's taking, not even losing a quarter of his health to a combined Sobek and Hades attack, as well as the tower shots.
Sobek's going to pop his ultimate in the jungle, making sure that he is getting his mana back up before the team fight starts. It looked like he wanted to initiate there, but took the free mana instead. Sobek kind of looking out for an opportunity to grab Anubis. Grabs the Anubis, throws him directly into the Hades, and they react to this in time. It's 3 versus 2 in the jungle. They're going to back off. Fenrir's by himself defending the right-hand tower. The tower's actually going to fall here. Another tower goes down for Team 4. Odin jumps over the wall. Loki shows up. There's Anubis. All 5 players for Team 4 are grouping up here in the right-hand lane. Neith is not here, although she could contribute her World Waver, her ultimate, if she needs to. But at this current point in time, all 5 players are available. Looks like Poseidon may be DC or not currently here. Doesn't look like he's moving here. I don't know if he's looking to buy something or has DC'd off the map. He has DC'd, so Poseidon is out of the game currently, so it's a 4v5 at this current point in time. Looks like all 5 players from T4 are grouping up. Here's initiation. The Odin ultimate comes out. Ymir ultimate as well. Locust Swarm doing tons of damage, and there goes the Death Gaze as well, bringing down the Sobek. The damage output is going to finish off Sobek right off the bat. Hades is going to survive just barely. The Odin jumps in. Fenrir is going to jump out. All 5 players are still alive for Team 4, and with Poseidon DC'd and Sobek dead, this is a 3v5, and they have control of the map.
And with one Phoenix down there and a very, very big advantage right now, and the game could end pretty shortly. It looks like the Odin and Anubis are going to be going home, as well as Loki. While Ymir and Apollo pick up a little bit of extra XP in the jungle, Apollo is going to be wanting to pick up that damage camp just to get as much as possible. Now, Ymir caught out by himself by the Hades, drops the wall, but Fenrir is coming around the side here. May have been a mistake. Not sure if that gold camp is going to be worth it. Fenrir is going to be doing his best to try and tear Ymir down, because Ymir 1v1, nothing he can really do, but he manages to get back within sight of his team before anyone can do anything to him, because he is a very large man. Again, doesn't care, tank. So, while they have this advantage, Poseidon has come back. He is back in the fight here, but Sobek is still down, and they still have a man-up advantage, as well as now an almost 3,000, gold lead over Team 2. So this is starting to turn around their favor pretty well.
Yeah, the kills are lined up here. The towers are still in Team 4's advantage, so Team 2 could win a team fight, take a gold theory, or take a tower or 2, and they'll be back into the tied region. Looks like Odin's kind of hanging out here. Does have his passive to be able to see the Fenrir, and also the Anubis spotted him out. Anubis didn't go in there on that engagement, just kind of watched it as they kind of backed off. Of course, Fenrir's quite tanky with that Bulwark of Hope. Now going to be selling that Bombus Mask soon to get his last item. Probably a tank item. He does have a lot of damage and penetration with the items he has set forth, especially the Heartseeker, who has a lot of stacks and damage output on top of everything else. So it looks like Odin's kind of pushing this lane up against the Poseidon. Poseidon's going to throw that Whirlpool and keep this back away from the tower. But the next team fight is going to be paramount for both these teams, and the fact that Fire Giant has not been attempted. So the next team fight, whether it is won or lost, will be either a Fire Giant or a couple towers.
And either way, depending on which direction that goes, Team 4 with only 1 tower standing left, they have to take down, and 1 Phoenix already down for them. If they win this next team fight, that could very well be the game. And you can see Odin heading over here. He saw Neith with his wards. He's just going to kind of make sure she's not up to anything he doesn't want happening. And both teams are really just kind of gathering around mid lane. And we might have a big throwdown here pretty shortly. Apollo, back to doing what Apollo do, just split pushing away in the left lane, might be able to take this Phoenix down before anyone can respond, because the closest members of Team 2 are all the way back in mid lane. Just kind of dancing around with each other right now, jostling for position. Looks like they want to take this tower, but there is just a lot of defense there. And Apollo, not actually totally positive what Apollo's doing. I guess he's just making sure no one jumps on him right now as Fenrir heads over to make sure he doesn't take that Phoenix for free.
Yeah, he's kind of just positioning himself. He doesn't really want to waste his ultimate if he doesn't have to. There was not a minion wave there to pressure the tower, so he wanted to just wait until he had the opportunity to just pop in there, get some towers on the Phoenix. But there was 2 people missing from the middle lane, so I want to just kind of hang out, wait for an opportunity to split push. If it doesn't show itself, he'll just back off and keep on waiting. So smart play there from Apollo, making sure he doesn't give away anything. And you know, it's going to be so important at this point in the game. The further on we get in the game, as the gold stays close and close as it is now, about 3,000 gold between these 2 teams at the 42-minute mark, almost is not very much. It's a very minimal amount of gold difference. So it's going to come down to this next team fight, and it seems like every player understands that. Do we have a Fenrir DC? No, he's just buying things. Looks like Goldfear's going to be picked up here from Team 4. They're going to start it anyway. I think they have enough damage to take this out before they rotate over. Sobek's going to come over. Do they have Hand of the Gods is the question. Sobek does have Hand of the Gods as well as the Hades. So here comes the ultimate coming up for Sobek. It's going to be a time. The Hand of the Gods comes out, but Team 4 secures it. The damage output comes out. The Frost Breath on top of the Ymir. Actually, the Ymir gets popped up by the Poseidon ultimate. There goes damage. Odin gets picked off right away. Death Gaze comes out. There's a damage output as well. The ultimate comes out from Loki, finishing out the Poseidon. There's a good mesmerize. Mesmerizing 3 players there. Ragnarok comes out. Loki might be able to escape just by vanish here. We'll pop out a stealth any second now. There's the charge prey, but the wall comes out from Amir. Frost Breath as well. Damage by the Fenrir. Fenrir uses the brutalize. He's going to pick up the Loki in time. Each gambit gets popped. Is it going to be enough? Loki survives, but Hades isn't done yet. There's the Hades ultimate coming out in a huge AoE. Amir pops his ultimate, but doesn't get it off in time. And it's going to be a 4 kill for Team 2, trading for Poseidon. That was a huge engagement. Team 4 got the Cold Fury, but they lost 4 of their players for it.
And it looked like they were going to be able to walk away okay, but Hades was not having any of that, showing off his focused Voidstone manliness as he jumped in and was able to get 3 kills for his team by holding them in with that ultimate. Ymir tried to counter ult to scare the team off, but it was not quite enough to force them away, and now they are going to be receiving their free shipment of Fire Giant for the day, because Apollo, there's really nothing Apollo's going to be able to do about this. He may try to come over with his ultimate, but it looks like he's either not aware they're doing the Fire Giant, or he's fully aware that there's nothing he can do to stop them, and he will probably just lose his own life. So now Team 2, everybody but Poseidon, is going to be walking around with this Fire Giant and able to push down some serious tower here in the next couple minutes. That was a big team fight. That was a big pickup for Team 2.
It was certainly a huge pickup. Sobek actually going to use his ultimate to clear out some minions here in the jungle. Apollo kind of looking the right lane to push something up. Fenrir is actually doing something that's very, very intelligent here. He realizes he still has some time before the players get back up and back to the jungle. So he's going to not only take the Fire Giant buff, but head to the enemy jungle and steal away some of their buffs. So Team 4 has nothing to farm when they get back. So he takes away the damage buff as Sobek kind of jumps in on Apollo. Apollo dashes away. He's not having any of that. Sobek had no kill potential there, especially since Fenrir was not really interested in picking off some Apollo meat as he heads back towards his tower. 5 players up for both teams here. Fire Giant is down. Gold Fury is down. Towers are still able to be taken by Team 2, and Team 2 is still behind by about 2.2k gold even after that big win at the Gold Fury.
But once, like you said, they tear down this 3-tower disadvantage they have, that is easily going to make up their gold here, and it's something they could very well do while they have the Fire Giant advantage. They're all kind of falling back right now. Neith is looking like she's trying to push up the right lane. Fenrir's busy jungling away, while Poseidon tries to hold back this middle tower. They look like they really don't want to lose this last tower they have. Sobek and Hades try and head over to contest the left lane, where the entirety of Team 4 is waiting, trying to get something done over here. Neith's split pushing is probably going to get her a tower. Well, actually, I don't know, because Odin's backing down. He looks like he is going to go defend that to see if he can stop it. He's still going to get the tower, but I was going to say...
Into. Oh, he doesn't get it.
He will try. He will try.
So smart play by Odin there, picking up a teleport as soon as he went home. Looks like he either was channeling it or waited a little too long, didn't get over there in time. Here comes Amir and Loki. Can they get it off in time? The ultimate will be able to finish off, and hits the ultimate. Downneath is caught out. 2v1. The damage output comes out. There goes the backflip, but Amir's certainly be able to freeze this off. There goes the Frost Breath. The Glacier Strike somehow. The beads get popped. The damage output's the great wall by Amir, and the aim strike will finish off Neith. 13-11. That was a huge pickup for Team 4. She now no longer has a Fire Giant, but in the middle lane, Anubis gets picked up by Fenrir, Sobek, and the Poseidon combination. Odin walks over into 4 players and casually walks back to his tower. Gunner's Might comes out. There's a Whirlpool. There's a damage output. Odin actually taking a lot of damage here. Drops about half HP as his team is covered by. The Frost Breath comes out for 4 players. Loki can't get in to help, though. Ymir ultimate coming out inside the Odin ultimate. It's going to hit actually nobody there. Looks like everyone avoided that. Poseidon ultimate throws out, and looks like Odin will fall. Hades ultimate catching Ymir, and Loki is forced to head into the jungle as Ymir falls. So even though they picked off the Neith and dropped the Fire Giant buff off of him, 3 players are dead for Team 4.
And that was just not great team fight positioning there. Everyone from Team 4 sort of trickled in one by one into that engagement in the middle. While they were busy fighting Neith, Anubis went in by himself, popped his Aegis and his beads, but it was not enough to go. He got torn down. And then Odin went in by himself and got torn down. Then Ymir went in by himself and got torn down. And now Loki, the last man standing, tries to fight by himself and gets torn down. Like, that's just, it's not the 1v4 battle strategy. While manly as anything I've ever seen, is not working out terribly well for Team 4. They need to bunch up. Loki, as you said, did get locked out by the Odin ultimate there, was unable to contribute any damage, and the Ymir wasn't able to really help anything either. So that was just a whole lot of really easy kills, and now this is going to be 2 pretty much unopposed Phoenixes for Team 2, and this might be the game.
Two Phoenixes down, the left Phoenix be the only one standing. In fact, that is a full lane standing. In fact, I don't think there's any damage on that tier 1 tower. It looks like the tier 1, tier 2 tower, and Phoenix are all standing. The tier 1 has literally no damage, not even a scratch on it at this point. So they have the right lane and the middle lane taken out completely. The left lane is still fully up in its integrity. Right lane looks like the Fenrir, and they're just going to go ahead and take away the buffs from Team 4 as they head on out. So that previously they had a 5,000 gold difference, then a 3,000 gold difference. Then Team 4 took the lead, and now Team 2 is back up just about 3,000 gold between these two teams now, 47 minutes and 15 seconds in. But Team 2 seems like they have the team fight prowess that they need to win these team fights and clear out the jungle objectives and push it into the enemy lane.
Well, Team 4 has definitely got the synergy and the ability to win the team fights. Like I said, they really need to. They haven't had a real team fight in a while. They've had a bunch of 1v1 pickoffs. They need to start a team fight. They need to move as a group. This is the point in the game where they really need to be gathering up, because the aggressive nature of Team 2, they are pushing in, they're taking every advantage they can get, and they are staying together. So they are jumping in on these lone wolves as a pack. Because, I mean, even as you can see right now, obviously Apollo being the exception because Apollo is Apollo, everyone's really spread out right now. Like, if the Hades, Poseidon, Neith pack were able to jump on the Loki right now, Odin might be able to show up. Anubis wouldn't get there until Loki was long dead. And it looks like they're going to be picking up a Gold Fury here as Loki is forced to leave. And Odin, who has Hand of Gods, is here to contest it alone. He is the only Hand of Gods here. So if they do not get Sobek over, looks like they're just going to drop it because they realize that they do not want to give Odin an easy steal.
Yeah, they're just going to go ahead and let that go. Make sure they don't have any chance to get back in this game. The game is still very, very close at this point. 2,000 gold difference between these two teams. Looks like Odin's kind of walking into Hades. They're exchanging their tank slaps, as it's called. They don't really not do any damage to each other. Fenrir's going to take the damage buff and have a lot of damage available to him. Neith is here as well. The Fire Giant buff, it looks like it has fallen off and respawned, so both objectives are available to taken for either team. They look like we want to get a team fight in first, so it looks like they're going to be grouping up here. Sobek pops his ultimate yet again to clear out a wave. He's been doing this often throughout the game. Looks like Loki jumps in, trying to pick out the Neith, dropped to half HP, but gets caught out. Fenrir picks up the Loki, uses the beats in response. Aegis as well. The Brutalizer gets avoided. There goes the damage up, but the charge break comes on the Odin. There's the slow from Anubis, but still has the ultimate coming out. Poseidon still has his ultimate as well. A lot of ultimates are still available. In fact, only 3 are down at this current point in time. Odin might drop. There it is, a good old Odin ultimate, trapping them away from helping out their team. Damage output comes out. The Poseidon ultimate hits nobody there. Frost Breath avoids there. Charge break throws Emir into Poseidon. Tail Whip comes out. The beats in response though, and a wall. Brutalize now caught out. Looks like the Mummify misses as well. The Locust Swarm is on the ground, doing minimal damage to the Hades. Hades drops his ultimate, doing a lot of damage in the circle here, keeping them all caught out. Loki jumps on the Poseidon, forcing him to back off from the team fight and killing him in the process. Anubis gets picked up by the Fenrir. Charge spray on top of Loki. This team fight is so intense. Fenrir jumps over the wall trying to pick off someone. Loki drops about 3rd HP here. Fenrir trying to get on top of that, but Odin doing a great job of zoning that out. Looks like Emir has to go home. Loki kind of in the jungle. Hades rotating around. Odin jumps away. Neith ultimate is going to keep Loki from getting away here. The ultimate comes and stuns him in place there. Hades throws out the silence, trying to jump over the wall, lands on top of him. There goes the slam down. Devour Souls will drop to about very, very low HP. Fenrir tries to rotate over. He blinks away with his ultimate, trying to get out there. There goes the Vanish as well. Can Loki escape this chase? Fenrir's chasing over to the side lane. Is it going to be enough? He's so low, and he actually gets out there just by line of sight. He should actually back away here. Sobek might catch him. No, Sobek's not going to see it. And looks like Loki will survive, but overall, a pretty low amount of exchange. About 1 kill for each team, and now everyone's going to get away.
Need to drink about a gallon of water after that one, Braun. That was a lot of throwdown with not a lot of kill. And now Team 2, as they have all rotated over to the position, are going to start Fire Giant as Odin shows up, screams for Asgard, and charges right into battle. Sobek manages to hit him with the charge spray, and looks like Fire Giant is just going to get reset as both teams back off here. Odin was able to stop their attempt, and Ymir and Apollo showed up. It was enough to scare them off, and they're going to have Vision War 2013 going down here as they just trade Sentry Wards in front of Fire Giant to see who can keep a better eye on this. Both objectives are up, and all team members are back up, because after that, like, 46-hour team fight where one person died per side, pretty much everyone has respawned and everyone's been reset. So while that was an epic battle, it didn't really turn anything in one favor or the other. So we're going to see another objective attempt coming here soon, I am sure, as Loki tries to initiate on Poseidon, misses his ultimate, and then just backs away.
So it looks like about 1,000 gold difference between these two teams. Just about, yeah, almost 1,000 gold between them. The Fire Giant is still available. The Gold Fury has respawned. Looks like Loki's heading over there to check on it. Put a ward down to make sure everything is good to go. There goes the ward on top of the Gold Fury. Right lane looks like they're just going to take out some buffs here. Apollo's by himself. Might have to ult out. He's completely surrounded. There goes the ult. And he's just going to fly away as he often does. Hop on that chariot. And he's actually going to use this opportunity to scout it a little bit just to see where everyone is. He might actually fly to the left lane and try to push this down. Dunks on top of the knee. But they're rotating over. Looks like Poseidon and Fenrir will be over here in time. Emir is here. They're doing the Gold Fury, so Anubis and Loki will be doing that as well. Odin is across the map. Looks like Emir's going to be zoning this out. So they're actually going to get a Gold Fury for nothing. I mean, literally just because of the distraction by Apollo.
It's just because they happen to be in the right spot, and Loki and Anubis together could tear it down so quickly. I mean, they didn't have time to rotate and intercept. I mean, if they had vision, which they didn't, Team 2 really had nobody there to contest. And even if they did, which they didn't, Ymir was there to zone them. So, I mean, that was just, it was kind of everyone happened to fall into the right place. I'm not sure if that was planned or not, but that was just a really good position for Team 4 to just pick up a free Gold Fury. And that is going to put the gold back to barely 100 difference. So this is still completely neck and neck. A ridiculously close game here. Fire Giant's still up, and we're waiting for the next big team fight just to come bring down the hammer and end the game. Everyone's kind of juggling around mid lane, looking for position, trying to get up a little bit of farm. Loki's picking up a red buff so he can try to assassinate somebody out of a team fight just to give his team the edge, because all 5 members of the enemy team have very big abilities that can turn the tide of a team fight very easily. And if Loki can take even one of them down before the fight starts, that's going to be a big help.
The group members for the Fire Giant here looks like they might want to be starting something soon. Loki might catch Poseidon in the middle lane. Looks like he jumps on top and doing some damage. The Whirlpool prevents him from chasing all the way. There goes the ultimate though, and jumps right, and one hit afterwards will finish off Poseidon right off the bat. So now 4v5. Excellent pick there by Loki. Damage output on top of the Hades. Hades drops out half HP and forced to use an Aegis amulet there. Looks like Fenrir's going to over the right lane, trying to jump on top of this. Apollo. Apollo will be taken out here by the Fenrir. Back to the middle lane. Looks like they didn't get a kill, but then he forced the Hades back. So now a 1v1 exchange. Both the Apollo and the Poseidon are dead. Here comes Odin though, jumps up to the Fenrir. Fenrir jumps half HP, uses the beads and jumps away. Charge Parade prevents Ymir from chasing. Damage output on top of the Silverback though, drops at half HP, pops his ultimate, trying to CC Immune his way out of there, and looks like he will escape. This is still a 4v4 situation as Neith joins the fray, but again, a very even exchange. The gold is right on par, about 300 gold difference at the 54-minute mark is literally non-existent as they head over to try and take this Fire Giant.
They are so close together, and as Team 4 falls back, this Fire Giant might be the edge they need to actually end this, and that good assassination from Loki there might have just been what they needed to give them an advantage here. Team 2 probably won't even be able to make it down here. Well, they might actually. They might aren't tearing this Fire Giant down quite as fast as I thought they would. Death Gaze comes out from Anubis to try and burn it down, as Odin drops his ultimate just to zone Hades and Fenrir out of the fight, both of which have jumps, but they are able to take it. Hades is caught so out of position here, and the damage comes out from Anubis. They're going to try and chase him down to finish off. Looks like he is going to get away. Ragnarok comes out from Fenrir. Sobek also out here with him. Mummify plus the Plague of Locusts instantly vaporizes about half of Fenrir as Sobek throws Ymir out of the fight, dropping a wall, trying to stop him from getting away, but Sobek just kind of wiggles around it. Freeze comes out, but no one's really there to capitalize. So they're just going to walk away with their Fire Giant that they took out. That was a really good ultimate by Odin there, keeping them out of the fight, so that just enough time for them to finish securing that objective.
Yeah, that was definitely a great zoning tool. I'll go ahead and put that down there. And one thing I would like to have seen from Team 4 is to hold on all their abilities. It looks like they popped almost all their ultimates trying to pick off that Hades there. You see it with even all the CC. They had the Mummify, then they had the Loki Assassinate, then they had the Freeze. I mean, they had so much CC and cooldowns being popped on him and didn't even finish him off in the end. So they had no chasing potential. But again, right off the bat, they do have the Fire Giant. They did use the Anubis Death Gaze to finish it off, and then the Hand of the Gods came out as well. So not only is this game dead even, but they have Fire Giant buff, which is very, very useful. I mean, you have the regeneration, you have the damage for both magical and physical. It is a very powerful buff that would allow them to win team fights as this comes up. All 5 players are still available for both teams, and all 10 ultimates are up in this current point in time. So we have an opportunity to get some good team fights in here as Sobek kind of runs in the jungle, throws Anubis backwards. Looks like Poseidon might catch him out. Sobek pops his ultimate. No, Loki's kind of zoning him out as well. Looking for opportunity to get started here. This Sobek drops down on some damage of the Ymir. There goes a Locust Swarm doing damage to finish off the buff. They're really fighting for this buff a little bit too too much there. Brutalize drops Anubis very, very low. Ragnarok will finish him off there. Anubis does die for his greed on the buff, while as Odin drops his ultimate here in the backside, trying to do some damage to the Poseidon, gets caught out a little bit. There's Hades ultimate, Neith ultimate as well, and there goes the Loki ultimate, Poseidon ultimate as well. Here comes the Kraken doing tons of damage. The crits coming out from Apollo is too much for them to handle. The damage output as well. Looks like they will finish off the Fenrir. Now turning their attention to the Hades. Can they finish off the Hades before he jumps away? Emir pops ultimate. They body block him inside the Emir's ultimate, but it's not going to be needed as Apollo crits his way from Hades down to oblivion there. Sobek trying to push him away with the sickening strike, about half HP. Charge Spray throws Loki away from the tower. The tower will fall, however. A good wall of Frost Breath actually misses, surprisingly enough, as Sobek escapes that big engagement. But right off the bat, they lose Anubis, but get 2 kills in return.
And now they're hanging out in a 4v3 situation with all of Team 2's towers down and the Fire Giant buff. They're in a great place. Looks like they are going to fall back. Everyone's going to kind of return to base, except Loki, who's taking the time to farm up a little bit of extra here. And they are going to regroup for their final assault. It looks like they are wanting to end this while they have got this Fire Giant and this man advantage here, as they all start to trickle back up the mid lane. Now, looking at the gold, Team 4 has managed to pull back ahead again with a little over a 2,500 gold advantage. They're starting to pick up. That tower obviously definitely gave them a big bump there. That Fire Giant, that double 2-kill pickup for 1 exchange has all helped push them and give them a little bit of edge moving into the end. But this game has gone on for long enough now that basically everybody has finished item sets. So, I mean, a gold advantage isn't really going to make a difference anymore. This is all going to come down to who has got the better actual player skill and team fighting ability, because when you have everything money could possibly buy you, nobody really cares about money anymore.
There's some Squizdom coming down for you as you see Odin kind of pushing this up by himself. Has the Fire Giant buff, and he's quite tanky. I mean, he, you know, as Squiddish mentioned, he's the tank. So he doesn't really care what they do to him, and they're going to need a lot of firepower to take him down at this point. He's very, very tanky, a lot of HP and protections as well. Anubis now has finished the rod up to Hootie, so it looks like all the builds are rounding out as previously mentioned. Hades is about to finish off that High the Nemean Lion, which is going to help him out a lot against the Loki burst damage that keeps coming out on top of him, as well as the crits from the Apollo. So it's a great pickup. Sobek already has his in place. He got that pretty early on. Looks like they're kind of grouping up towards the Gold Fury. The Gold Fury is available. Going to be 1,500 gold benefit for whichever team picks it up at this point. Odin's going to zone out, try to go after the Hades, whack him in the face a few times, make him run away. But at this point, we're just waiting for the next big engagement.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a huge pickup for the Gold Fury, just because the reasons I was talking about before. I mean, gold's not a big advantage. Yeah, you can get elixirs, and elixirs will help. I mean, yeah, they're cool, but realistically, it's not as big of a benefit as buying full items. And like Hades finishing off the High the Nemean Lion, even in its nerfed state on a tank, that's pretty much got Apollo ults way into the sunset. Pretty much going to stop any of the carries from being able to just go on him for free there. Loki opens up on Fenrir, but he jumps away. Apollo simply ulted over to the left lane and tore down the Phoenix before anyone could do anything about it. He is just so slippery. He has so much mobility. He doesn't care. I mean, tanks don't care because they're tanks and whatever. Apollo doesn't care because nobody's ever going to catch him, and he's pretty much just free to do as he pleases. So with both these side Phoenixes down here, Loki goes in on the Neith, who gets away with a backflip. She is incredibly low, pops her beads out of extreme fear, just not wanting to die. And everyone is kind of gathering around for what is going to be the apocalypse, the final battle as we head into the hour-long end of the game here to end this epic war.
Now, I wonder if Neith is actually far behind in gold. It looks like she's at about 19,000 gold versus the enemy team, where you see Emir is actually a little bit fine. So it looks like she doesn't have, I don't know if she has enough gold to finish off her last item yet. She's still sitting on that Death's Toll. Of course, a very cheap starter item, which we really want to get rid of towards the late stages of the game. So I'm surprised to see her still holding on to that, but it could be the case that she doesn't have enough gold to finish it off. So we'll see if she does sell that and get a new item right off the bat. She is about, no, she's right on par with Poseidon as far as gold count. So I'm surprised to see her still have that in her item set. We'll see if she sells that away or not. Looks like both teams are kind of just looking for opportunities to farm, get buffs, and waiting for that big engagement. I mean, it's literally a lot of hurry up and wait at this point. The Gold Fury is up, the Fire Giant is up, so we do have both objectives available. The Gold Fury less valuable here. So it's literally going to be the next team fight, and whoever gets Fire Giant, whether, you know, can Team 4 take it away from Team 2 and push it in. I mean, there's still about 5,000 gold, 4,000 gold up from Team 2, 15 to 20 here as we cross over into the hour and 1 minute mark, pushing over this. But again, just waiting for that big team fight, and they might actually be taking the Fire Giant here as Team 4 groups up.
They're gathering around. They're trying to force a team fight here. Both teams are being very careful because they know the next team fight is going to decide the game. So neither of them wants to get stuck in a fight that they do not have a huge advantage on. And as Team 4 starts up the Fire Giant, Team 2 definitely sees them. Hades is right here. Ymir is going to try to zone. Team 4 tore that Fire Giant down in like 3 seconds. So it's at the point now where they're just doing so much damage with those Apollo crits and the Loki crits and the Anubis lasers. The team doesn't even have time to come contest them because it takes them 3 seconds to kill an objective. So with this Fire Giant buff again, everybody is going to gather around in the mid lane. All 5 members of Team 4 is here, and they're just waiting for their opportunity to make this final push. As Sobek ults in and Odin hops in and drops his ult on both Hades and Poseidon, but he is alone. Nobody's here supporting him. He's taking a lot of hits, but not a lot of damage because he is incredibly big and doesn't care. Sobek trying to zone everyone away as they isolate Odin, who may have jumped into a horrible position, but Sobek dies in his attempt to zone, and Poseidon goes down as well as Loki ults into the fight. Neith is forced to flip away, and Odin manages to make it out okay, even after having basically the entire team focus him. The Phoenix drops, Death Gaze comes out from Anubis, and Neith is going to die here, and they're left with just Fender and Hades stuck in their well, crying for safety, trying to save the Minotaurs. The ult comes out from Mir, and everyone just piles in to go ahead and end the game here. That super ultra manliness from Odin was exactly what they needed as the Minotaur smashes Loki to death, but I don't think they're gonna have quite enough to hold this one back. Team 4 has got 4 members versus 2 on Team 2. This is gonna be it.
I would have liked to see Apollo just rail into the Minotaur there. I was actually taking a lot of damage from Fender, who but jumps back towards Ymir. Ymir is the only one, and I think his name is Champ Sandwich for a reason there. Apollo backed off, didn't want anything. Looks like Odin went home, Anubis went home. Ymir says, no, we will win this game here and now. You fellas get up here. And he actually takes his giant club, finishes off the Minotaur, and wins the game. Team 4 will be putting forward into round 8 and getting an official title for the rest. We're going to check out the stats here for this hour and 7-minute game. As far as the stats go, we see 28,000 damage coming out from the Loki, 28 from the Anubis as well. We see 29 from the Hades. He's actually taking the most, or doing the most damage on his team, surprisingly enough. I guess that focus Voidstone was to a great benefit to him. But overall, I mean, the stats were relatively even. All the players were playing exactly as they were expected to do so. You see a mere 0, 3, and 13. High assists, which you want for a tank. We see 1, 4, and 10 for the Sobek as well. Fenrir doing an excellent job doing 11, 2, and 7. Played a fantastic game. But it looked like the teamwork of Team 4 and the positioning was enough to catapult them into the next round.
I just want to take a moment to highlight Odin's 45,000 damage taken. Taking that new active item, the shell, and putting it to great use in those final seconds, leaping into the entire enemy team and caging them on their own Phoenix with no support, just to hold them back so that his team could tear down a couple people while he fought like the manliest man that ever did man. That was possibly the manliest thing I've ever seen somebody do in Smite. And that definitely was what they needed at the end there. That shell is actually, when you put it to use like that, that new shell is very, very powerful.
Incredibly powerful. I mean, he was in there for an uncomfortable amount of time. Anyone who's watching that knows Smite can sit there and say, oh, please, no, oh, what is it, oh god, but he was just taking so little damage. Obviously, you can see on screen the shield is here, which is going to be the 45 protections for both, and also the 50% reduction in damage overall for a 90-second cooldown. Is a very powerful item, so something you really want to pay attention to, especially as a tank. I mean, we also have the other side of it, which I believe is a reflection shield, but it looks like he just wants to take raw damage, and his positioning, not only with his ultimate, I mean, several times he's zoned people out, prevented them from getting into team fights, and I just played an excellent game there from Odin. 0, 3, and 7, but he just took it for his team. As we see Apollo doing a lot of damage in gold as well. Apollo did 14,000 structure damage almost, destroying so many towers, and one of the reasons why they got back into the game is because Apollo was just going around destroying towers.
And that was, I mean, he did a lot of work. You can see Apollo's structure damage is beyond ridiculous at basically 14k, and that's just Apollo being Apollo. He walks around, he does what he pleases. If y'all try to collapse on him, he ults away into the sunset, picks another lane, and continues doing what he pleases. I mean, he's got to be slightly more reserved about it, but with his mesmerize and the moves dash away, it's pretty much possible to pin him down. So he has free reign while everyone else is juggling around, and there was a lot of time in that game. There was a lot of juggling around and people just waiting for position and opportunities to start, where he can just be off in a lane, doing what he do, and then when stuff starts, he can just ult over and help fight. So I mean, you can see that being used to great effect here with 14,000 structure damage. Obviously, Apollo is doing Apollo correctly.
Most certainly is. That was going to be a best or round of 3 or round of 16 game, guys. We're going to be heading into round of 8 as the teams are set up and going ahead to be picked up for their team names. You can see most of them is signed except for the last one, Team Bishop. If you want to check that out, you can go over to tiermonster.com/tournament/brackets. Looks like I can't post it up on chat, but we'll be able to post that for you soon. But we're heading into round 8 starting soon. This is going to be a single elimination, then into semifinals, and of course into the grand finals, which will be a best of 3. So stick around, guys. We'll be back in just a few moments to start the next match.